Imagine being so afraid of spiders that you can't even look at a picture of one. For 6.1 million Americans, this is a daily reality. So let's start our facts. The first fact: emetophobia is the fear of vomiting, and it's surprisingly common. Some people will avoid certain foods or social situations just to lower the risk of getting sick. The second: have you ever heard of coulrophobia? It's the fear of clowns. After movies like It, it's no surprise this phobia skyrocketed. Can you imagine how terrifying a children's birthday party could be? The third: speaking of movies, xenophobia, or the fear of strangers, often becomes more intense after watching horror films. Some people avoid social situations for fear of encountering the unknown. Ever felt like you can't trust anyone after watching a thriller? Fourth, trypophobia, the fear of small holes, has taken over social media in recent years. Images of things like honeycombs or lotus seed pods trigger anxiety for some. Do holes make you uncomfortable? 5. Here's a really strange one: nomophobia, the fear of being without your mobile phone. Yep, it's a real thing, with over 80% of people experiencing some level of anxiety when they don't have their phones. This phobia is more common than you'd think. 6. A bit more historical, but did you know that Napoleon Bonaparte reportedly had ailurophobia, the fear of cats? Even one sighting of a furry feline would send him into a panic. 7. Acrophobia, the fear of heights, isn't just about climbing tall mountains. Some people can't even step onto a balcony without feeling dizzy or faint. If you hate glass floors at tourist attractions, you might have it. 8. This next one will make your skin crawl. Mysophobia is the fear of germs, and it can be so intense that some people refuse to shake hands or leave their homes. Did the pandemic make this phobia worse for you? 9. If the thought of being buried alive makes you uneasy, you might suffer from taphophobia, the fear of being buried alive. In the Victorian era, they used to attach bells to coffins just in case. 10. Nyctophobia is the fear of the dark. Though it's common in children, some adults never grow out of it. What about you? Do you still sleep with a nightlight? 11. Imagine having pogonophobia, the fear of beards. It's real, and people who have it avoid anyone with facial hair. I wonder how they get through November. 12. A lot of people are afraid of water, but thalassophobia, the fear of the ocean, takes it to another level. The vast unknown beneath the waves is enough to give anyone goosebumps. 13. How about triskaidekaphobia, the fear of the number 13? Some buildings skip the 13th floor entirely, and people avoid making big decisions on Friday the 13th. Superstitious much? 14. Hemophobia, the fear of blood, can cause people to faint at the sight of it. Even small cuts or TV medical dramas can trigger intense reactions. 15. Here's a really unusual one: geniophobia, the fear of chins. Yes, chins. For those who suffer from it, looking at someone's chin can provoke fear. 16. Do you get anxious when you're too far from home? Agoraphobia is the fear of open or public spaces, and for some it's so intense that they may not leave their house for months or even years. Could you imagine? 17. Arachnophobia, the fear of spiders, is one of the most common phobias in the world. For some, even seeing a spider on TV is enough to send chills down their spine. Are you one of them? 18. Globophobia, the fear of balloons, can make birthday parties a nightmare. The unpredictability of them popping sends people into panic. 19. Imagine being afraid of your own reflection. Isoptrophobia is the fear of mirrors. For some, even seeing themselves in one can cause overwhelming anxiety. 20. Autophobia is the fear of being alone. For those who suffer from it, even the thought of solitude can trigger extreme fear. 21. Here's a strange one: lachanophobia, the fear of vegetables. No, it's not just picky eating. Some people genuinely fear greens like broccoli and spinach. 22nd. Cacophobia is the fear of ugliness, which might sound shallow, but for those who experience it, the fear can be debilitating. 23. You've heard of fear of animals, but what about ornithophobia, the fear of birds? Even seeing a bird flying in the sky can cause intense panic for some. 24. Phobophobia is the fear of fear itself. Yes, a fear of being afraid. It sounds like a cruel joke, but for those who have it, every day is a battle. 25th. Plutophobia is the fear of wealth. While most people dream of being rich, some fear the responsibilities and potential problems that come with money. 26. Imagine being terrified of rain. Ombrophobia is the fear of rain, which can make living in certain climates nearly impossible for those who have it. 27. Geliophobia is the fear of sharks, even when you're not near the ocean. Watching Jaws has probably given a lot of people this phobia. 28. The fear of buttons? It's called kumpunophobia. For some, just seeing a button on clothing can cause severe discomfort. 29th. Chromatophobia is the fear of money. While most of us worry about not having enough, some people are terrified of the very idea of money itself. 30. Selenophobia is the fear of the moon. Whether it's the full moon or just seeing it in the sky, this phobia can keep people inside at night. 31st. Pediophobia is the fear of dolls. Thanks to creepy movies, this one has only gotten more widespread. 32. Astrophobia is the fear of thunderstorms. The sound of thunder or flashes of lightning can cause some people to go into hiding during a storm. 33rd. Thanatophobia is the fear of death. Though we all think about it from time to time, some people are completely paralyzed by the thought. 34. Ever feel anxious about speaking in public? You might have glossophobia, the fear of public speaking. This is one of the most common phobias in the world. 35. Hippopotamonstrous esquipedaliophobia, ironically, is the fear of long words. Yes, the word itself is absurdly long, and even saying it might make someone with this phobia shudder. 36. Anthophobia is the fear of flowers. Yes, something so beautiful can be a source of anxiety for some people. It makes you wonder what they might think of a garden party. 37th. Chronophobia is the fear of time passing. For those with this phobia, the ticking of a clock can become unbearable. Can you imagine feeling anxious every time you look at your watch? 38. Hexacosioi hexiconta hexaphobia is the fear of the number 666. Often tied to religious beliefs, seeing these numbers together can cause severe anxiety. How would you feel if you got this as your hotel room number? 39. Some people suffer from amaxophobia, the fear of riding in vehicles. For them, even a short car ride can trigger panic. How do they manage day-to-day life? 40th. Sociophobia is the fear of social interactions. This can lead to isolation and loneliness, making it a serious issue for those affected. Have you ever felt overwhelmed in a crowd? 41. Ecclesiophobia is the fear of churches or religious places. Some people avoid weddings or even walking past a church because of this phobia. 42nd. Do you fear a specific type of animal? Cynophobia is the fear of dogs, which can be quite distressing, especially if you encounter one on your daily walk. 43rd. Decidophobia, the fear of making decisions, can paralyze a person when faced with even the simplest choices, like picking a meal at a restaurant. How long do you take to decide what to eat? 44. Pharmacophobia, the fear of taking medicine, can lead people to avoid necessary treatment, even when their health is at risk. 45. Chiroptophobia is the fear of bats. Given their association with darkness and horror movies, it's no wonder this phobia exists. 46. Agoraphobia is the fear of being sexually assaulted. This intense phobia often stems from trauma or constant worry about safety in public spaces. 47th. Lepidopterophobia is the fear of butterflies. While they're generally seen as symbols of beauty, some people find them terrifying. Are you afraid of butterflies? 48. Botanophobia, the fear of plants, can make someone avoid forests, gardens, or even indoor plants. Something as simple as a houseplant could trigger serious discomfort. 49th. Clinophobia is the fear of going to bed. For some, the idea of sleep brings intense anxiety, perhaps tied to nightmares or the fear of dying in their sleep. 50. Ergophobia, the fear of work, isn't just a Monday morning feeling, it's a legitimate phobia where even thinking about working can trigger severe anxiety. 51. Gamophobia, the fear of marriage, often stems from a fear of commitment or the pressure of being tied to one person forever. Do you know someone who's afraid of settling down? 52nd. Hypengiophobia is the fear of responsibility. For those with this phobia, being put in charge or handling important tasks can cause serious stress. 53rd. Ecophobia, the fear of home, causes those affected to avoid being indoors or inside their own houses. For them, home is not a safe place but a source of anxiety. 54. The fear of noise or acousticophobia can make everyday situations overwhelming. Just think about how stressful a crowded restaurant can be for someone with this phobia. 55th. Magiricophobia is the fear of cooking. For those with this phobia, the idea of preparing a meal can be terrifying, leading them to avoid the kitchen entirely. 56. Odontophobia, the fear of dentists, can keep people from getting necessary dental care. The fear of drills, needles, or even just sitting in the dentist's chair can be overwhelming. 57th. Pedophobia is the fear of children. This phobia can make family gatherings or social situations with kids incredibly difficult. 58. The fear of elevators, or elevator phobia, can make navigating tall buildings a challenge for those affected. Have you ever felt trapped in an elevator? 59th. Pseudodysphagia is the fear of choking, often related to eating. It can cause people to avoid food or only eat very small amounts, terrified of getting something stuck in their throat. 60th. Nosophobia is the fear of disease. The anxiety around getting sick can become overwhelming, especially in a health-conscious society. Do you find yourself worrying excessively about health? 61. Hodophobia, the fear of travel, can prevent people from exploring the world and experiencing new cultures. Have you ever felt nervous about traveling? 62. Telephonophobia is the fear of talking on the phone. In today's digital age, this might sound strange, but some people avoid making or answering calls at all costs. 63. Chorophobia, the fear of dancing, can prevent someone from enjoying social events. Can you imagine being afraid of dancing at a wedding? 64. Venestrophobia, the fear of beautiful women, can lead to extreme anxiety in social situations. Some people might avoid dating or even being in the same room as someone they find attractive. 65. Chaetophobia, the fear of hair, can cause distress when seeing, touching, or even thinking about hair, whether it's on someone else or themselves. What about these phobias resonates with you? 66. Omphallophobia is the fear of belly buttons. For those who have it, the thought of touching or even seeing a belly button can cause anxiety. Strange, right? 67. Technophobia is the fear of technology. As our world becomes increasingly tech-driven, this phobia can make daily life quite difficult. Do you feel overwhelmed by technology? 68th. Genophobia, the fear of sexual activity, can make intimate relationships incredibly difficult for people who suffer from this phobia. 69. Judeophobia, the fear of Jewish people, is rooted in prejudice and has historical connections to anti-Semitism. 70th. Koinonophobia is the fear of rooms full of people. It can cause extreme anxiety in social situations. Do crowds make you anxious? 71st. Siderodromophobia is the fear of trains and railways. For those with this phobia, the sound of a train whistle can trigger panic. 72nd. Metathesiophobia is the fear of changes. This can prevent personal growth and lead to a stagnant life. Are you comfortable with change? 73rd. Erythrobutyrophobia is the fear of peanut butter sticking to the roof of your mouth. While it sounds amusing, it can cause serious anxiety for those affected. 74. Achmophobia is the fear of sharp objects like needles, knives, or even pencils. For people with this phobia, just being near something sharp can trigger intense anxiety. 75. Panphobia, the fear of everything, is a generalized fear that can leave people feeling overwhelmed by daily life. 76. Coprostassophobia is the fear of constipation, often leading people to go to great lengths to avoid this discomfort, even when it's unlikely to happen. 77. Methophobia is the fear of alcohol. It's not just about the fear of being drunk, but often the sight, smell, or even the presence of alcohol can trigger panic. 78. Pteronophobia is the fear of being tickled by feathers. It's a specific but intense fear that can lead to avoidance of anything soft or feathery. 79. Spectrophobia is the fear of ghosts. This phobia can lead to sleepless nights and avoidance of certain places. 80. Rhinidophobia, the fear of frogs, makes ponds, forests, and even garden areas sources of fear for those affected. Imagine avoiding nature just because a frog might be there. 81. Wiccaphobia, the fear of witches or witchcraft, has historical roots from times of witch hunts and trials, but even today, some people are still deeply unsettled by anything related to witchcraft. 82. Ophidiophobia, the fear of snakes, is one of the most common phobias worldwide. Just the thought of a snake can make some people shudder. 83rd. Aidocophobia is the fear of failure. This can prevent individuals from pursuing their dreams. Do you ever hold back because of fear of failing? 84. Euphobia, the fear of good news, makes receiving positive updates or hearing about good fortune feel uncomfortable or anxiety-inducing. Strange, right? 85. Geophirophobia is the fear of crossing bridges. Just imagine being paralyzed with fear while trying to cross a busy highway. 86. Pediculophobia, the fear of lice, often results in people avoiding contact with others, especially in crowded places. Out of fear, they'll catch lice. 87. Ablutophobia, the fear of bathing, makes showering or taking a bath a terrifying ordeal. For those with this phobia, daily hygiene becomes a major challenge. 88. Phonophobia, the fear of loud sounds, can make living in a bustling city feel impossible. 89. Claustrophobia, the fear of enclosed spaces, can turn something as simple as an elevator ride into a nightmare. 90. Gymnophobia is the fear of nudity. For some, this can make swimming or changing in locker rooms a source of extreme anxiety. 91. Dromophobia, the fear of crossing streets, makes something as simple as getting to the other side of the road feel like facing an impossible danger. 92. Atylophobia is the fear of imperfection. This can lead to a relentless pursuit of perfection in every aspect of life. 93. Chirophobia is the fear of hands. This unusual phobia can lead to avoidance of touch and social interaction. 94. Papyrophobia, the fear of paper, makes handling documents, books, or even mail a nerve-wracking experience. Imagine fearing something as ordinary as writing a letter. 95. Palatophobia, the fear of bald people, makes it difficult to be around those with hairless heads. Even walking past someone who is bald can cause panic. 96. Heliophobia, the fear of sunlight, makes going outside during the day or even opening a window blinds a stressful experience. 97. Alliumphobia, the fear of garlic, means everyday cooking ingredients like garlic can trigger panic. For people with this phobia, Italian food is especially tricky. 98. Phronemophobia, the fear of thinking, sounds impossible, but for some, engaging in deep thought or introspection can cause distress. 99th. Eruthrophobia is the fear of blushing, which can lead to social anxiety and avoidance of situations where one might feel embarrassed. 100. Finally, anatodophobia is the bizarre and fictional, but frequently cited, fear that somewhere, somehow, a duck is watching you. While this isn't a recognized phobia, the concept is surprisingly popular. We've covered a lot of phobias today, some of them common, some of them surprising, and some downright strange. Which one freaked you out the most? Do you have a phobia that we didn't mention? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating facts.